So I'm delighted to announce that the student speaker this year, selected by competition, is Breana Norris, who is receiving her MTS from HDS today. Breana, over to you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. You guys look good. Thank you. Seeking words for this momentous occasion has been a daunting task. There have been many iterations of this address over the centuries. Words to mark every tangle of history our university has seen. Fortunately, I come from a legacy that is equally persistent. Like our university, my family's history in this nation goes back to the beginning. From rural Alabama and Texas to Los Angeles, the city I call home, the Norrises and the Heflins, the Parkers and the Smiths have endured. Standing at the unlikely intersection of these parallel histories, I sought words for this moment, a means of tethering ourselves to this time. It was then I remembered my grandmother, who knows exactly what it feels like to fumble for a foothold in time. My grandmother has dementia. She knows vividly what we can all feel at times, bombarded by moments, caught up in the spins of news cycles, our attention fragmented, struggling to make sense of the world around us. Today, I invite us all to follow her example. For whenever she's overwhelmed or lost and confused, we can always bring her back to us with love. Our love for her grounds her in any moment, at any place and time, regardless of the chaos of the world around or within. Love grounds us. Love surpasses understanding. The late Bell Hooks reminds us that if you lead with love, you cannot go wrong. In life and in her scholarship, she brought emotion and heart into the clinical halls of the academy, and I'll seek to follow her example today as well. Here, on this joyous day of celebration with our loved ones, I can think of no more fitting a message for the occasion. If you all will indulge me, I have a story to share about how I found this principle of love best embodied in a friend I made here at HDS. I arrived here in September of 2020, the heart of the pandemic. It was the time of weekly COVID tests in Northwest Labs and eking out connections in the private messages of Zoom. It was a time when I was forced to ask, what is Harvard? Prestige with no people, immense buildings, crumbling cemeteries, the lengthy syllabi of our classes, a Cambridge without community could not be Harvard. The following year, a new era of in-personhood was ushered in, and the community we built together breathed life into this city and the Harvard experience. What each and every one of you did during this time, how we reached for each other, the conversations in commons, the knitting clubs, the kayaking trips, it was in this sea of newness that I met Vanden and began a friendship that would change my life. Vanden was a visiting Hindu monastic student here on exchange from India for 1 year as part of a new program at HDS. We had a morning class together, and he quickly discovered I was always hungry, stomach audibly growling because I skipped breakfast to arrive on time. Over our year together, we bonded over many similarities, like struggling to feel comfortable in our own skin. Vanden wore his sadak, the robes of a person in training to become a monk. In one conversation, he said everyone back home had dressed like him, so he didn't feel his difference until he got here. Missing my own colorful city and family back home, I shared with him how my very skin could make me feel out of place in classrooms and on campus. In addition to our similarities, we had a fair share of differences that cannot be overstated. Vanden was strictly vegetarian. I'm an omnivore with no food allergies. Kayaking on the Charles is my favorite activity, and I only learned he couldn't swim after we were in the boat together. I'm Christian, he was Hindu. I was his first Black friend. He was my first monastic one. At the end of our year together, like we are all here to do today, we bid farewell. But this goodbye was different. To ascend in his tradition, Vanden would enter a period of renunciation, taking vows that meant cutting off contact with the outside world, his family, and his new American friend. Only in his 20s, Vanden knew exactly what the rest of his life would look like. On this point, we could not have been more different. I want to read a selection from the card that he wrote me to say goodbye. Thanks so much for everything, for a warm and welcoming attitude that made me feel at home and made my Harvard time worthwhile. I'm so very grateful and thankful for your friendship, and you'll be missed. Breana, keep me in your prayers as I seek to pursue an ambitious path of monasticism and renunciation. I'll pray for you. Take care, my dear friend. Good memories are a pleasant way to keep the person alive and with you. Thanks for those. Farewell, Breana. Our friendship is the most unique one I've had at HDS and in life. I believe it could only have happened at a place like Harvard Divinity School at this moment in its history, a moment of open doors and people with open hearts. The lesson I learned from Vanden is love, a love that goes beyond a shared worldview or corner of the world, love beyond networking, love beyond self-centered interest. People here at Harvard, maybe subconsciously, are taught to constantly network, to expect great things from the great people we meet and befriend, maybe even to anticipate how they can benefit us later. Amongst our university's esteemed future doctors and lawyers, politicians and business people, educators, engineers, and dentists, we at the Divinity School are often saddled with a discomfort in the ambiguity of our degree. Sometimes stumped when people ask, what's next? Grounded in love, I find that these questions change. Not what will you do after here, but how will you do it? Not what will you do after here, but why? Not what, but with whom by your side? Once I knew our separation was coming, I tried to just enjoy getting to know Vanden, to cherish each and every memory we made in this moment where we left our vastly different corners of the world to share this Cambridge zip code for 4 seasons. Though I may never see him again in this life, I know that this is not the end, for the bonds of our experiences will live on, just as our love will live on, just as my love will live on for my grandmother, even when she no longer recognizes my face. Love grounds us. Love surpasses understanding. On this joyous day, surrounded by your loved ones, I hope and pray this is the love that will propel you forward, through your certainties and your uncertainties, for the rest of our lives. I may not know all of you. We may not see eye to eye. You might have a lunch reservation you're actively waiting for. I'm almost done. But I can still love you. It is custom on occasions like this to take a text. This one is not from my tradition, but Vanden's. He inscribed it on the back of the card. In the joy of others lies our own. So whether today is goodbye or just goodbye for now, I pray that you go forward grounded in love and share your joy with others. Congratulations, class of 2023.